Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of First Look. And in this edition of First Look, I'll be doing First Look UFC 291, Gaethje versus Poirier 2, or Poirier versus Gaethje 2, either way, whatever it is. These two men are fighting each other once again. And yeah, so with this First Look, I'm just doing five, I guess odds, five fights, or five things that jump out to me at the moment, upon my first look before I really start to, get into breaking the fights down and coming up with predictions, kind of like what values and what fighters stick out to me. So five of those. So five fighters and their values that stick out to me. So I think the first one is Miranda Maverick versus Priscilla Capoeira. I think Maverick's around 350, minus 350. And I think that's a good advantage. I mean, a good odds. I'm not gonna say it's good straight up odds, like maybe just bet in the house, or I'm not gonna say house. Yeah, definitely not the house, because Maverick definitely come off that loss is not somebody you like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna feel so confident. Or style wise, this is a great style matchup for her. But again, she's not at the point where it should be a case where she should be, a whole lot of confidence put in her. But I think high confidence would be good enough for her. No need to go lock. No need to go, oh, this is such an easy matchup. No need to do that. But high confidence, maybe put some good chunk of change on her at minus 350. And then maybe even hope for a submission, because Priscilla Capoeira isn't the best on the ground. And that's been her weakness. And Maverick should be able to take her down, should be able to tap her out. But Maverick already had tapped out the fighter, prior. And then she fought her again and had a hard time with her the second time. It was still an easy matchup. She still couldn't finish her, even though she finished her like the first round time she fought her prior. I think she fought her twice. Now that was third time for her. But either way, Maverick at minus 350 is good. I think more than kind of chasing a finish prop, unless there's some good value on it, I think this parlaying her will be another good thing. So put some decent money on her in a straight or a money line, and then probably put her in a parlay or two or three or four. I'm gonna say about two. Don't go too crazy. 2 or 3 parlays with her in it. And I think she should come through on that. So I think minus 350 is a good value for her. And easily you could parlay her with another person probably around minus 350. That's probably like pretty much another high confident or maybe even lock. It could bring that value down to like maybe around the 100s or something, like minus 115, minus 120, minus 130. Or maybe you find something else you feel very confident, you've done the research on it, you're like, oh, I'm locked on this. I could parlay Maverick with her or him, and now bring that up to a plus money. But yeah, I think Maverick should win that one. A stylistic advantage for her. And minus 350 for that, I think that's a great value. Great value, all things considering. Then the next one is Bonfim versus Gals. I think I think Bonfim should win that one. I think he's a young upcoming prospect. Gals can be a little bit lax on defense, a little bit lax on striking defense. And I think Bonfim has a tighter boxing of the two and has the BJJ upside. Also, the upside of being the truer welterweight and welterweight, even though that's not the best indicator, because Gals has been able to adjust and acclimate to the welterweight division now. But I still think this should be a good fight for Bonfim to win, and I think he's at I think he's minus 300 ranges too. I'm not gonna really double check right now, but either way, I think all things considered, I feel like he's good value, and I guess I would say the same for the Maverick fight. It's not as great of a stylistic matchup. Like, clear, this woman has no grappling, or most of her losses have come to grappling, and she hasn't really beat a grappler that's decent. Is I can say with Gals. Well, I can't say the same for Gals. Like, it's not as clear as a path to victory. So Maverick's probably the better value, probably. But I definitely think Bonfim has a much higher ceiling than Maverick, and that should be able to pull him over, having a higher ceiling, higher potential. This should kind of feel like a fight where it's just to build him up and rise him up the ranks. I don't think Gals is the guy that's going to stop his momentum. If he's going to get his momentum stopped, I don't think it's going to be by a guy of Gals' attributes and status or stature. Probably somebody better. Maybe gets upset by like I don't know, a veteran gatekeeper maybe in the top 15 ranges or something like that, maybe. But against Gals, I don't think so. So yeah, Bonfim's a good value. And I also think he could finish. I think when Gals does lose, it's typically by finish. So yeah, typically by finish. And Bonfim more submission guy. We have seen fights where he gets submitted by Marchart. I think it was. Who else he got submitted by? Can't forget. remember that guy's name right now. But it was the same thing. He kind of got exhausted, kind of got dropped, and then he got tapped out. It was 2 times he got exhausted. Matter of fact, it was like, yeah, 2 times he got exhausted and got dropped. I think one of them was by Dricus Duplessis. Or he got a little bit lax in defense, got dropped by Dricus Duplessis. There's another one. Who else was that? By the way, it's like 2-2 in the UFC at least. But other guys that did submit him, they were kind of the same exact pattern. Like he kind of came out, he was bouncy a little bit early, looked good, and then he got a little bit lax, got caught, and then started hands loaded, kept getting touched up, rocked, then tapped out. And I can see the same thing happen to him in this one. I feel like it's gonna be more so the club and sub than the get exhausted, clubbed and subbed, than just get caught. Like I forgot to remember the name, and I forgot it just like that. But anywho, I think it's a good value, especially same thing like decent money line. Then put them in a couple parlays, maybe parlay with Maverick because they both kind of got the same value, similar value, and similar stylistic matchup that should favor them. So those two. Third one, Bobby Green versus Tony Ferguson, or Tony Ferguson versus Bobby Green. I think Bobby Green like minus 350, which I think is that's very crazy odds. That's my I would say that is a lot for me. I'm just saying right now, I think that's a lot for me. Tony Ferguson has not been looking the best for years, and even like I was personally never the guy that like never one of those people that was super high on Tony Ferguson. Like never. Not to say he's a bad fighter or anything, but I was never like, oh my god, this guy is one of the best examples of MMA. Like this guy's sloppy. He got holes there. Higher brain is letting this guy get away with this, get away with that. Like they make the guy look way better than he actually is. I mean, he's a good fighter. He's a great fighter, but he was never all that, and definitely that's a part of why he's decaying the way he is. Skills was always like wonky and all over the place, and poor defense here, weird offense, and I feel like even his prime, like Tony Ferguson could have had issues with a guy like Bobby Green. He did have issues with Michael Johnson, and Michael Johnson maybe you could say a better offensive striker. He has bigger ups than Bobby Green. Bobby Green has more consistency, but Michael Johnson had bigger ups and bigger highs than Bobby Green. But stylistically wise, Bobby Green had much better grappling than or does have much better grappling than Michael Johnson, much better takedown defense. Maybe stat wise, maybe Michael Johnson might have better stats as far as takedown defense. But Bobby Green doesn't get this skin to take down and get mauled by every single person who takes him down. Like he's not that dude. So Bobby Green is much more comfortable on the ground, much more comfortable at defending. Scrambles much better than Michael Johnson. And on top of that, he has typically better boxing defense than Michael Johnson. And yeah, so and also not like Tony Ferguson had the best offensive wrestling beginning. He was a decent scrambler, but as far as in the UFC, Tony Ferguson's offensive wrestling has never been that good. Then on feet, he just can be so sloppy at times. So a slick, clean boxer can exploit those things. And Bobby Green is a slick, clean boxer. And now Ferguson doesn't have the upside where he was sloppy as a mug, but his chin will hold him up and his pacing will hold him up. Now his pace is not there, his durability is not there, that chin's not there no more. Now he's just like a husk of what he used to be. He like all the sloppy stuff is still there, but the stuff that was able to cover up for his sloppiness is not there no more. So I could definitely see Bobby Green finishing him, but minus 350, straight up money line, I think that's a great value, and I think he should finish Tony Ferguson. So look for some in the distance on that one. But that's my take. Am I saying go bet the house on in the distance? I'm not. Or well, I'm not. He's not going to submit him. He's going to TKO. So TKO, you definitely get a better value. So I don't think there's no point in doing in the distance. But I think Bobby Green, who knows, maybe general in the distance, hoping that it. Well, not hoping, but in the case that Tony Ferguson pulls something out, a rabbit out the hat, which I doubt he'll pull out. But I think Bobby Green should win this one. I think a lot of confidence Bobby Green should win this one. And I think in the distance, or not in the distance, but KO prop should do well here. But definitely money line it, parlay it. And I think, money line Green, parlay Green, and sprinkle some on KO prop for Bobby Green. So that's my take on that one. So that's the third one that sticks out to me. Now, the fourth one that sticks out to me is right now. That's not all of them. This is just right now. And some of these might even shift. This is first look. So I might shift around and say, hey, none of these stick out to me no more. But this is just my first off the top of the head kind of, first look stick out to me. Fourth one is Pereira. And actually both Pereira stick out to me, but I'm going to focus on Michel Pereira. The one that, most people are probably going to sleep. Well, not most people, but I feel more people are going to kind of avoid this one or lean Thompson or something like that. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, that one. Whereas I feel like it's going to probably be a 50-50 split, maybe even over the course of the weeks, probably gonna shift to Pereira probably being a small favorite, probably. Whereas I think Michelle Pereira most likely probably gonna stay is a dog here, most likely. But we don't know. Maybe this video is gonna shift some people's minds. Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, I think Michelle Pereira is a great dog here. One of the better dogs on the card, I feel. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is pushing 40. Well, he is 40. Going in there with Michelle Pereira, who's not yet 30, 29 years old, going to turn 30 this year. Just about to get into his prime. You know, he has had a long career, so you might say, oh, his prime was a long time, not a long time ago, it was a couple years ago. Because I don't know, when you come around and you've been fighting as long as he had, like maybe your prime, you peaked in your 20s. But I think he's still getting better. And in actuality, he's actually on like what, a 5-fight winning streak. He has had 2 losses. Both of them have been, as far as in the UFC, not his overall career, but in the UFC, he has only had 2 losses, and both of them have been weird. Like he fought that little 45, 35 built dude and 45er, and he just gassed himself out and was overconfident and just lost that type of fight. Then he lost because he did a legal strike on, I think it was like a legal knee to like a grounded Diego Sanchez, who was doing the, probably just make anyone mad. He doing force field defense, like doing the arms, like somebody do that make you want to punch them illegally or need them illegally, like so he got baited by the force shields. What's that dude he was training with at that time, dude? So was it Fabio? What's that dude? I don't know. I forget the name, but Joshua Fabian or something. Josh Fabian, whatever dude name was. So he had multiple reasons to want to illegally strike Diego Sanchez fight. Saying his weird corner man, saying the weird force field shields, and just how awkward Diego Sanchez is. He kind of just got caught up in fighting. Like, I just want to punt kick this man while he's on the ground. Like, I don't know. I just want to hurt him bad. Like, this is aggravating me, and I can understand that to some extent. Obviously, I'm joking, but still. So he hasn't had a real clear path to beating him as far as the UFC. So one fight, really his fights he have lost in the UFC have been him losing them more so than his opponents winning them. Gassing yourself out doing backflips and cartwheels and doing a marathon before you even get in the cage. And then allowing a more active, small, tiny fighter just to take advantage of you being tired and just being able to win points and beat you by decision, which is a weird loss. And then an illegal strike, another weird loss. He has had more legitimate losses outside the UFC, but as far as in the UFC, he has really just been winning for the most part. And the losses hasn't been okay. Oh, he loses because he gets wrestled up. He loses because the guy pushed the pace on him and he gets tired. Nah, he lost the fight because he gassed himself out, been dumb, and now since then he has changed his game a lot since then, or at least matured a lot from that loss immediately, or was it immediate? Because after that he illegally striked Diego Sanchez. But either way, since those 2 losses, he has matured a lot. He really started turning up. Like his last couple performances haven't been stellar. He can look good for a round and a half or something, but cardio's still kind of an issue. But I think coming into this big fight right here, I think he will come and make sure those parts of his game are tuned up. And also think he is the more well-rounded fighter. And also you gotta look at Wonderboy's performance. He has had some good performances, and we look at last performance, he looked good, but also part of that was Kevin Holland just having a dude bro moment, like getting these grappling opportunities, but like standing up and just choosing this trade with one of the better strikers in the history of UFC. So in the history of kickboxing and such and such. And this combat sports, one of the better strikers in general in combat sports history across sports, which was a dumb thing. And Pereira, is a guy that's I just made the Predator sound like yeah, where's Arnold Schwarzenegger? But either way, I think Michelle Pereira coming into his 30s now. I feel like we're gonna start to see a new Michelle Pereira. Like he's gonna turn that corner, coming in with a 40-year-old Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, who's kind of like the male equivalent of sorts of Holly Holm, kind of like a striker turned into an MMA fighter. Has had success, and has success deeper into their beyond past the point of prime, and still look fresh and don't look like a shell of themselves. Like Holly Holm, like she lost her last fight, but she didn't like a shell of herself necessarily. Still was doing what she was doing, and still was finding success. Riding a streak, was working her way back to a title shot, was looking good. And Wonderboy Thompson, Stephen Wonderboy, he's been holding form, and that's why he's the favorite right now. Currently, he's a sit. So, but no matter how good you are, and you can sit around, time is undefeated, and I think Michelle Pereira is gonna, kind of been slept on a little bit here. But I think once people start looking to his record, his current path, the guy hasn't lost. You can say, oh, Ponzinibbio fight was closer than it should be. The Nico Price fight was closer than it should be. But at the end of the day, he won. He did what he needed to do to win. And he's a very awkward guy. He has a lot of power. He's very explosive. He's awkward. He's pretty tactical everywhere. And he's the more well-rounded fighter, the younger fighter by like a decade now. Currently like 11 years, but in a couple months will be by like just 10 years. But still, yeah, I think he's in the right spot to to win this one. Am I saying, oh my gosh, this guy's a lot confident pick? No, I'm probably gonna hold it at average. Probably might be low, but probably average. But I think Michelle Pereira has the upside in this one. Riding a better streak, younger fighter by a decade, the more well-rounded fighter, and also very awkward. Like maybe could catch him the same way Pettis caught him. A jumping hook off the cage, jumping, lunging, flying hook off the cage, a Superman hook off the cage, and catch Thompson kind of backpedaling with his hands down. A lot of karate guys keep their hands down. Thompson no different, and maybe get to explode and catch him trying to jump out of distance instead of having his hands up and circling. So maybe he could catch him. By the way, I think he could win it. And also, I think he'll be more likely to take advantage of opportunities. And I think he will take advantage of opportunities instead of just giving him up. He's not going to go out there try to have a do-bro moment with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson slapping hands and giving up grappling top positions. And Holland was getting top position without even trying. Like he was just running Thompson over at times, and then like it wasn't even like he was even going for the takedowns. He was just running him over. And I don't think Pereira is going to just give it the opportunity. So I can also see Pereira sub. I can see Pereira flash knockout. I can see Pereira flash club and sub. Or I can see Pereira having some big moments, then just grinding out a close decision over Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And also the agenda is definitely pushing. We saw in this last week or just a couple of days, Davey Grant got shafted on a decision. Because like at the end of the day, you might say judges this, not this, just that. But I think at the end of the day, like across sports, combat sports, judges do have a kind of a low-key agenda to just try to push the older fighters out. Like sometimes they'll give them just decisions. Sometimes they'll like, oh, we like this fighter and we'll keep them around and give them a bad decision for the older fighter. But typically, close decisions are going to favor the younger fighter because they want the newer blood and they don't want to keep this 40-year-old, 45-year-old vampire around. They're like, we want new people in. Yes, you outlanded that 30-year-old boy by like 30 strikes or that 20-something-year-old boy by like 30 strikes. But at the end of the day, do we want to keep seeing your decrepit, old, wrinkly butt around? No, we want to see some new people with some fresh blood. We want some fresh money. We've seen you fight 50 times. We have seen enough, and we want some new blood injected into the rankings and into the sport. So we're going to do that. So like, they might say, oh, the judges are unbiased or on that, but a lot of times these judges do be having private agendas for whatever it may be. And I think it's going to be a case of, I just think Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, even if it does go to a close decision that maybe Stephen Wonderboy Thompson should win, or should go to him, I feel like it's not going to go away unless he finishes Pereira or thoroughly dominates him. So, but yeah, I think Michelle Pereira should win this one, in my opinion. And by all those ways, I think all those things are definitely on the table. So, at plus money, great value for Michelle Pereira. And now the fifth and final one, I'm going to go with Dustin Poirier here. Like, he minus 145. I'm not saying I'm picking him. I'm just, right now, this is all just value. But, matter of fact, I'm picking him, but the point of this video is not to say my picks necessarily, but it will stick out to me. I know some videos I definitely put things on there that I didn't pick. It seemed like in this video, all I did was pick ones that I am picking, but don't get it twisted that that's always going to be the case. It's going to be ones I'm actually picking versus me just saying great value in something. Because I could predict something, but I could bet something different. I could predict a minus 1,000 favorite, but go with the plus 800 or plus 650, plus 450 dog. Like, yes, that value is good, and like low confidence, they should win, but value-wise, like, why would I even put that in there knowing how, like, low confidence, why would I put that money on a low confidence guy who's minus 1,000? I'm gonna put some coins on the plus 40 dog. Maybe if I might go for them finish now and they like plus 800 or plus 1,000, maybe even pick the round. But prediction-wise, I might do that, like especially like with a low confidence pick. Low confidence dog, probably picking low confidence dog. Low confidence favorite, a crazy value, probably picking the person who's facing the low confidence favorite as far as betting wise or sprinkling on them and not putting no money towards the low confidence favorite with a whole lot of plus to them or the beginning. Yeah. Anywho, now I'm talking too much. I'm drifting off. But anyway, with this one, I'm gonna make it short. Poirier is the more well-rounded fighter. He's 1-0 against him. Poirier, I think, has not yet lost a rematch, so he's undefeated in rematches. You could say Gaethje's undefeated in rematches too, because he's fought Palomino, I think, twice, maybe 3 times, but twice, and he's beaten him both times. So he's undefeated in rematches. And Poirier, I think 2-0 against Holloway, and 2-1 against 2-1 against McGregor. So he lost the first fight to McGregor, then he won the rematch, and he won the third fight. So he won 2 rematches against McGregor, and he won 1 rematch against Holloway. So that's 3-0. Now looking to make it 4-0. And I think I think he has the upsides. Like, he's in that value of like what, -45 currently. I think it might go up, might go down, but as of right now, that's a very, very good value. -145 versus the guy you already beat. Yes, Gaethje has made improvements, but it still kind of stands. Like, he made some improvements. Back in the day, Poirier still again has the grappling upside. He still has the win over him. It's not like Poirier's starting to look bad already. Like, they both look good. And Poirier has shown to be able to go 5 rounds more times and push a pace with Sicily. Where you can say the Gaethje's last fight, Faziev kind of was a guy who kind of loses steam at some point. He hasn't yet been able to fully get those 5 rounds down or those deep rounds down yet. So he kind of faded off. And I think that helped Gaethje win, not to take us away from Gaethje. But Poirier is not going to guy that's going to slow down. He's going to be there with him as long as the fight goes on, unless Gaethje's able to really take away his legs or is able to finish him. But without that, Poirier going to be in his face the whole time, probably pushing a better pace than Gaethje, to be honest, and he could mix it up. And also, if Poirier gets hurt, he can somewhat look to go for grappling. And he has been hurt in fights. He has been able to had to dig deep and win fights. I haven't really seen Gaethje truly hurt and then having to dig deep and pull it back. We have seen Poirier several times hurt and bad. So we've seen Pettis have him like a deep submission. He was able to battle through that and beat Pettis. We seen him hurt against Hooker, was able to take Hooker deep. I said deep in drama. That sounds pretty weird, but was able to extend Hooker and wear him down and beat him. We see him hurt to the legs against Gaethje and was able to finish Gaethje. We seen him have issues with Eddie Alvarez, was able to finish Eddie Alvarez in a rematch. We seen this is just a whole long list of cases where he was able to finish them and still have that grappling upside. And we also look at Poirier's track record in UFC. Well, at the lightweight division, only one of them has been by knockout, and it was to Michael Johnson, the ultimate kryptonite to anyone good who's sleeping on him. Michael Johnson has those real quick hands, was able to catch him. It wasn't the case somebody just technically outstruck him for 5 rounds or technically outstruck him and finished him. The other 2 losses are to, some of the best grapplers in UFC history, in Charles Oliveira and Khabib Nurmagomedov. So it's more so leaning to grapplers. And Gaethje has more of a mixed bag. Poirier is like an all-around guy. Eddie Alvarez is an all-around guy. Then same with he got the loss to Charles Oliveira and Khabib. But he also, again, he has a loss to, like I said, he also has a loss to Dustin Poirier, which on there he has a loss to Eddie Alvarez. And he's fighting Dustin Poirier again. But yeah, definitely not going to be no easy fight to just say, oh, Poirier should win easy. Probably about average confidence, but having the grappling upside, having already beaten him, and seeming like the guy who, in my opinion, has better 5-round experience, better dig deep experience and come out, going to have to lean Poirier there. And at -145, given all those factors, I think he's a great value. He's at a great value currently for this card. And even if he jumps up to like -220, I think beyond -220, -230, he started to get to -250 and beyond, then it's kind of like, I don't know about that value. But -100s, low -200s, I think that's a phenomenal value for Poirier, in my honest opinion. Especially given that he has most of the upsides and he has the win over him already. So, yeah, that's my take for that. And that's my 5 fights that stand out to me right now. 5 fights in their odds that stand out to me right now. And that's the video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.